Did you say?
City Council, if that's okay with him. All right, I'm going to open the Estacada City Council. If you'll please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. You may be seated. Okay, Sadie, can I have roll call, please?
Counselor Dunsmuir. Counselor Gates.
Here.
Counselor Hughes. Here. Counselor Lidkey.
Here.
Counselor Strobel. Counselor Tenbush.
Here.
Mayor Drinkline.
Here, thank you very much, Sadie. We are at the first citizen and community group comment. Do I have anybody in the queue?
Yes. Oh. Yeah, I think Jim wanted to speak.
Okay,
Yeah, he's raising his hand. Hang on a second.
all right, great.
There he is.
Okay. Jim, how are you, sir?
Good evening, Mayor. How you doing?
Good.
We just, I don't have my granddaughter here. Give me a second.
All right.
There we go. All right, there we go. All right, here we go. Good evening, all. My name is Jim Moriarty. I live at Southeast Oakview Lane. Here I am again. I keep hearing to attend meetings, to address the city council and manager because our voices matter. I'm a citizen of Estacada, so here I am for the second time. I recently emailed all of you, mayor, city councilors, and staff, the 2020 proposed traffic revision for Southeast Oakview Lane in Estacada. I have had multiple conversations concerning this issue since June of 2020, and I have been patient. I'm currently out of ideas, and I believe that I have exhausted all possible avenues to inform or work with the city to resolve this issue. We on Southeast Oakview Lane would like to be invited to the table in order to solve this issue. I have heard that we might possibly have to wait until 2023 in regards to the transportation system plan to be carried out by ODOT. I would like to ask a question concerning this plan. What did the city do to make the speed bumps possible on Shafford last year when they repaved and added sidewalks for safety? I've also been told that the Estacada Fire Department doesn't like them because of their fire trucks. Did the Estacada Fire Department sign off on the Shafford speed bumps? I hope that we can come to an agreement regarding Southeast Oakview Lane in regards for our safety and installation of traffic speed bumps. I'm trying to follow other cities' guidance in order to make this process easier for all of us. Thank you for my time tonight. We appreciate you letting us have this time tonight to share our concerns. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Appreciate it.
All right. Any questions for Jim on this? No? We thank you, Jim, and we'll look in. Oh, Joel, go ahead.
Hey, Jim, thank you for being persistent and getting that information out to us. I know that we've put the speed radar system up there a couple times, and I'm hoping to help for a little bit. You actually have our chief of police, if you see on the screen here. So Chief Coleus, did you hear the road there that he's referring to and the traffic issues they're having on there?
Yeah, I missed the road.
Southeast Oakview, Southeast Oakview Lane. So
What time of day? What time of day does that usually occur, or is it all the time?
Mostly all the time, Chief. Especially in regards to backing in to the driveways. A lot of us have large trucks, and people come to the crest of the hill there by the mailboxes, heading down to 4th. And backing up my RV, I can't go any faster.
Yeah.
And I know my neighbor had an incident last week where he had to gun it getting back into his driveway just to avoid a collision. So.
All right. Katie, do you have something you want to add?
I just wanted to echo what Jim was saying. I actually lived on the corner of 4th and Oakview for about 2 years. There is where I lived before I moved down to the Lakeshore neighborhood about 2 years ago. And even 2 years ago when I was living, or 4 years ago when I was living on Southeast Oakview Lane, that was a very common occurrence. And there were a lot of near misses right there at that intersection of 4th and Oakview in particular that I saw. And it would occur at any time of the day, early morning, late at night, middle of the day. That is a very dangerous intersection. And I just wanted to echo exactly what Jim's concerns are. I've seen them firsthand.
Okay, thank you. All right, well, this is definitely something we're gonna have to look at, Jim, and get back to you with an answer. And I think now that you've brought it back more than one time, I think it's time we should take a look at that. So we'll put that on the agenda and see if we can discuss that and get that out.
Thank you,
there,
Mayor.
okay? Yeah,
Appreciate
we
it.
appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah. Anybody else in the queue?
Yeah, we have William McKinney, and I'm bringing him in now.
All right.
I don't know why. There we go. There he is.
Okay, William, are you there?
You're muted, William.
Yeah, just give him a minute. He's not.
There,
you go.
can you hear
There
me?
you go.
I'm sorry,
Yeah, we
folks.
can hear you.
Got a new laptop a couple of weeks ago, and I'm still trying to figure out all the bugs here. So
It's all right. We can hear you.
Well, I
We
got-
appreciate you.
I just got a question for y'all.
Yeah.
You know, I work for a local school district, and I have for the better part of 20 years now. And I'm now faced with this this issue of having to be vaccinated or risk losing my job. And we've been given the same basic choices that I'm assuming a lot of other schools and districts in the state have been given concerning these waivers. There's only two, of course. There's a medical waiver and the religious waiver. And I'm looking to most likely submit my religious waiver or religious exemption waiver. Now, my question is this. Has that same type of thing been offered to public employees, whether they're at the school district out here or people at City Hall or people on the, working in the facilities and utilities department, if you will, the street department? Have they been offered this same type of an approach with these waivers? And if so, how is Estacada implementing them in specifically in regards to the religious exemption?
That's a good question. I think I'll refer that to Denise because she would know better than me on that one.
Yeah, the city doesn't require the vaccination, so we don't have to deal with any of that. But I can't answer for our school district. You'd have to get a hold of them.
Interesting. So you wouldn't know anything about how that's working there then?
No, I don't.
If in light of the federal mandates that have been announced just last week, how does Estacada see itself responding to that particular debacle?
So it's still none of the requirements are making it so our city has to have the vaccination. I think the closest thing that comes to us is if you have 100 employers or more, and we aren't even close to that. So we don't have any kind of mandate making us make the vaccination mandatory.
Really? Okay. All right. That was pretty much my my question for the time being. I appreciate you taking me and hearing me out.
We appreciate you coming on tonight. Thank you.
Thank you.
I don't see anybody else with their hand raised. If there's anybody that wishes to speak in the audience, please raise your hand. Nope.
No.
Nobody else.
Okay, great. We are moving on to the consent agenda. You've all had a chance to read it over. Are there any questions concerning the consent agenda before I ask for a motion? No? Okay, if I could have a motion to accept the consent agenda
I move to approve the consent agenda.
Okay, I have a
Second.
first, do I have okay, I have a first and second. All those in favor say aye.
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 All those opposed? Consent agenda passes. Thank you very much. We are now at department and committee reports. And I have Chief Coolius with us tonight, and I think he would like to introduce his replacement. He's going to leave us. He's retiring out, which is a shame. It seems like we just got started here, but I'll give you an opportunity to introduce our new replacement.
I would love to introduce him, but he's at a golf tournament that ran late, so he can't make it. But his name's Marcus Mendoza.
Marcus.
And he was our public information officer until recently when he was promoted to lieutenant. And you'll probably like him.
That's great. We appreciate that. And we are going to miss you, sir. You've been very good to us and easy to communicate with. And Joel, did you want to say something?
Chief Coleus, was he one of the officers, I think, that was running around out here during the fires? And I think we kind of ran into him a little bit a few times. I believe he was out here, wasn't he?
I have no idea. He was our PIO at the time. So
Yeah, I think I
he
got a
was
chance
running
to
with
meet him
me
a few
here.
times. He was out here. I think he came out with the sheriff once or twice. So
yeah, it was probably him if he was with the sheriff. Dark skinned fellow with dark hair.
Great. There was one question I wanted to pose to you, if we could, while we've got you here. We just recently went through a heightened theft time, breaking into cars and a lot of activity over here. And I just wanted to know if you had a take on that. I mean, is that something we're going to be looking at on a regular basis? Is that was just a freak thing that happened where they just kind of hit us out of the blue? Is this something that we should be concerned with? Or
Well, you're talking about August 12th, and you had about 6 vehicle break-ins. You had a burglary where they stole a vehicle. Not sure it was the same people. And then a burglary at an apartment also. And then just interspersed every couple of days, there'll be a theft from a vehicle. As your city grows, so is property crime. It's the #1 crime. What I would suggest is the messaging. It seemed that almost every one of these could have been avoided if people had locked their doors to their homes, if they'd locked the doors to their cars and not left valuables in plain sight. But in a small community, we get relaxed and we think it'll never happen to us until it does. So the messaging should be, hey, it happens everywhere. Protect yourself. A lot of these are crimes of opportunity. People aren't even thinking about doing that. And then they see a laptop in a car and it's unlocked and they go for it. Hold on, my phone's ringing. Sorry about that. We rarely catch crime like that. My 27 years, I've caught car clouders once. And that was working graveyard for 14 years, driving blacked out through apartment complexes every night. I caught them once. How we catch them is people calling 911. And the problem is, especially in a community like Estacada or Colton, where I live, people post it on Facebook and don't call the police, or they call their relatives and their friends and tell them, oh my gosh, this guy drove up my driveway, probably a burglar casing my house, and here's the license plate, but they don't call the police. So we don't catch them. So the message ought to be, you see something suspicious, call it in so we can get our hands on them.
Yeah, I appreciate that. Are there any other questions for Coolius? Charity, yes.
Hi, Chief Coolius. No questions. I know you are going to be retiring, so I just wanted to extend my thanks for your service for the 27 years. And I also, please let your family know that I extend a special thanks to your family for also serving as well. And we will miss you, and we look forward to Chief Mendoza's service with us. And thank you so much. And again, extend your special thanks to your family.
Thank you.
Thank you. And I know you know what you're talking about
Yeah.
when it comes to family.
Anybody else wish to speak? Joel?
Of course, echoing what Charity said, thank you very much, and good luck on the new job on the farm there. So, and I hope we'll see you around sometime. I know you're not too far from this area, so stop out and don't be a stranger.
Yeah.
Right on. I will. I'll be in town.
Anybody else? No? Jerry?
Yeah, sorry. Thank you, Lieutenant Colias. You've done a great job out here. Really appreciate the work. Thank you for your time and service, the years that you put in, keeping people safe. Thank you very much.
My pleasure.
And I think that's everybody. And Justin, your thumbs up on there. And yeah, Colias, it's been great working with you, and I appreciate you. And thank you for serving our community. You've done a great job, and we appreciate you. So, thank you. All
Right on.
right. We're moving on to committee, commission, and liaison reports. I will start with Jerry. Do you have anything?
The Parks and Rec, they set their fall event, their fall get people out and active. They're doing a trick or trot. It's going to be a running event for 12 and under, I believe. They're going to be giving out medals for the first 50 to sign up and finish. There's going to be face painting. There's going to be, I understand there might be cotton candy, and then a couple other booths set up, and it's all going to be at oh man, I can't think of the park.
Campanella.
Yeah, Campanella Park. My brain just wouldn't work. But it's gonna be a fun event. It's a fall event, not a Halloween event, but it is on October 30th, and they are wanting as many kids to dress up as possible, even though it's not a Halloween event. But it's gonna be fun. It's gonna be great. I'm gonna take the day off and go help out. Then the DEIC, they gained some ground. They've got some they've got some structure going. They've got their pilot. Well, they're making progress. They're making progress. Jenny was a great addition. She had some really good input during the DEIC meeting, but yeah, they're definitely making progress. So excited to see the forward progress with them. That's all.
Good. That's good to hear. Justin?
Yeah, so the DEC actually had a meeting today that I was unable to go to. They've kind of bounced around. They used to meet during the day, which was a lot easier for me to meet, but it seems like they're going to start moving the time on me. I'll get with Matt Lorenza. He's running that, really, it seems like, or at least helping him out big time. So I'll get an update from him and update everybody else. The infrastructure committee hasn't met yet, so nothing there. So that's really it for me.
Okay, thank you. Joel?
Yeah, so the basically one of the items that came up from the planning commission is actually on our list tonight. So, and if I can talk more about that during the time, if that's what I'd like to hold, but always I can share up some of the things about it. Is Taylor doing a presentation on tonight, Denise?
Yeah, there'll be the public hearing tonight, so.
Yeah,
if
so I'll
something-
just save you guys. I'll save everybody the hassle of hearing it twice. So
Okay.
that's all I got. So
Yeah, thank you. Charity?
Yeah, so school board, just really quick. Obviously school started last week, very successful start to the new school year. No major issues. I don't know if some of the other cities have had a little bit of, some hiccups with transportation, but Estacada seemed to be running pretty smoothly, and kids are excited to get back. I won't go into the weeds of the school report, but one of the things, and Denise sent an email about it last week, and it was the loss of our SRO. And I wanted to touch on that just really briefly. I'm going to try and make it brief. So it's our SRO had, and it kind of answers Mr. McKinney's question about the exemptions. Our SRO did file for an exemption with our school district. Our school district did accept the exemption. I do not know if it was a religious exemption or a medical exemption. That is not my information to know. That's our SRO, Deputy Russell's personal information. Our school district did accept it. However, the county did not. So we will be getting a new SRO, and I'm sure the new SRO is going to be just great. I don't have any issues with that. My issue is with the way that it was handled and the timing of the whole situation. A lot of people think that a school resource officer is just a glorified security guard that roams around the schools, and that's really not the case. It takes about a year, sometimes 2 years, for these school resource officers to build a rapport and a trust with our community, especially with our children. Okay. I feel that it was really poor timing on the county's part to not accept Deputy Russell's exemption. Many reasons. We are coming out of COVID. We are going to have a lot of kids with abuse issues, be it sexual, be it mental. We're going to be looking at domestic violence issues. These are all things that a school resource officer deals with, okay? And it has taken Deputy Russell years to build that trust within our school district and our community. So now we've completely extracted him, and a new school resource officer is going to come in, which again, I'm sure will be just fine. But these kids are going to look at the school resource officer and go, who are you? I don't trust you. So we are going to have a number of kids who are going to slip through the cracks that have issues at home that we don't know about. They're ugly. Nobody wants to look at, nobody wants to talk about, but they are there. I feel that it is a greater threat than one SRO who may potentially be a vector for COVID. I feel that the mental health issue is a bigger issue than Deputy Russell being a threat. Again, the decision has been made. There is nothing I can do about it. I'm glad that Deputy Russell can keep his job. That's fine. He will still continue to patrol Estacada, and that's great. It's just, I with being the school board liaison and with working with the school district, being in touch with Superintendent Ryan Carpenter, who very much advocated for Deputy Russell to continue as SRO, as did the school board, I would be remiss in not saying anything about this. I'm just very, very disappointed in the county's decision and removing Deputy Russell and replacing him with somebody else. Again, I'm sure that deputy is going to be just fine, but here we are. It's going to take another 1 to 2 years for that new deputy to build that trust. So that's really the bulk of all I had to report as far as the school board liaison stuff goes. This is just something that I've kind of been digging into the past week or so. But I'm very disappointed in the county's decision in this. Again, this is my opinion. This is not the opinion of the rest of the council, the mayor, the city staff. It's mine alone. And I think we're going to have a lot of kids fall through the cracks this year, and this is just not the time. So that's all I have to say about that.
All right, thank you, Charity. Joel, did you have something you need to say?
Yeah, first of all, just so you know, it's also my opinion too, Charity, but do you have clarification on if it was the Clackamas County Sheriffs that made the decision or if another part of the county made the decision?
All I heard was that it was the decision of the lawyers. I don't know if it was Clackamas County lawyers or Clackamas County itself. It was hard to
Their
get
legal
the
area.
specifics on that.
Okay,
Yeah.
sounds good. I just wanted to try to get that as clarified as possible for people. So,
Yeah, thank you, Charity. Katie?
I have nothing this week.
Okay. That leaves me. I attended the C4 group this time. Most of it was on transportation with TriMet. So routes that work for Estacada. We have the 30, as you know. I referred to a direct route to CCC. Is that something they are looking at? They told me that that is something that's on the docket, not in this general cycle, but it's going to be on there because we're getting so many young people that are attending, and it would be nice to have a route, obviously, that would be beneficial, considering it takes them 90 minutes now to get there. Like you said, Denise, that we'll have to get up pretty early in the morning to get to class. And I think we're trying to promote younger people moving back to this area. We should definitely look at an easier and more affordable and better way to get them back and forth in a timely fashion. So we put that out there. They told me it is on the docket. They are discussing it. They could bring it in at any time. It all depends on funding, of course, and where they're going to get it. But that was part of the topic. The other part was, of course, tolling again coming up. And that's being back and forth. Some people want it, some people don't. They don't know if they're going to put it forward. They think they are. All I've heard is it's a discussion we're going to be having indefinitely, it seems like, and all tolls are going to be different in different areas, which doesn't make any sense to me. If you're traveling from one place and you get, a couple blocks down the road, and you got to pay a different toll for a different area. I mean, that's insanity for something you've already paid for in your taxes over the years. So I don't know. It's a scary thought. But that's all they had at C4 at the end of that. So that was pretty much their total conversation. But other than that, I haven't heard anything from the fire department. I missed their last meeting, but I wasn't filled in as to what actually was talked about, but I could find out and get it back to you in an email. So, and that is all I have from that. Denise, Carey, that leaves it up to you.
Wow. So I have a couple things. A few weeks ago, one of the planning commissioners sent out an email to everyone, the council, and asking for maybe a possibility of a workshop to go over some issues that we have with our growth and with infrastructure. And so we've looked into it, trying to get something put together. And we have a program that we feel like would be beneficial to everybody. And but we need to pick a couple dates. And so I was wondering, I'm going to throw out there October 4th and October 7th. So October 4th is the first Monday, and October 7th is the first Thursday. And there are other dates that we could do, but we'd like to get it done as soon as possible, since we do have, seems like, continuous land use questions. And so we're really going to try to hit on the things that pertain to Estacada, not the whole big thing. That would be a 2-day seminar, complete 2 days. So if everyone can just check their schedule and get back to me, you don't have to do it right now, but if it would be nice to get back to me tomorrow morning, so then we could send out an email to the planning commission and see if they're available. Katie, do you have something that week? I saw you kind of.
Yeah, the first week of October is really booked for me. It would be preferred really any other week in October.
Does anyone else have something in October that would keep you maybe from, yeah, Sean, you had a vacation, right?
Well, no, I got a vacation in October, but I've also got a C4 on the 7th. So that
Okay.
day won't work. The 4th
Okay.
will work, but the 7th
Okay.
won't.
Okay, and is your do you know when you're gonna be gone, Sean, in October, so I can just walk out those dates?
Yeah, I'll
Well,
send you an
we're all gonna
email.
be
after
there.
this.
Okay, okay.
Well, we're all gonna be at the LOC, won't we? That's
Oh,
October.
that's
That
canceled.
got
20th.
canceled. That
It's
got
all
canceled.
Oh, I
You
didn't
should have
see
got
that.
you should have got an email.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, and they aren't even doing a virtual one. They're
No,
just
it's
gonna
all totally
cancel
canceled.
it, so,
All right.
yeah. So I guess if anyone has dates that you can't do it, let me know what those are.
Okay,
In
great.
October and November. I mean, that we could wait till November. I just would like to get it as soon as possible so we can get questions answered before we have many more planning things. So,
Okay,
okay.
great.
Okay, I also want to give you an emergency operation plan update. Melanie is meeting weekly with the consultant. And as you all know, a survey was sent out last month. And so they're taking those results of that survey that they received to incorporate them into a draft plan, so call it. Joel?
You said a survey was sent out last month. Was that,
Yeah.
who was it sent out to?
To
Because I
the
never received
council,
one.
staff, school, fire, and police.
Okay, I guess I missed it. So,
Okay.
thanks.
But that's okay. You're gonna have time to give input. And so, so that is almost done. So we're planning the stakeholders meeting, which includes the council, in the last week of September, which is 2 weeks away. And the plan will be sent out next week to all the stakeholders in advance. So stakeholders are the same: council, police, fire, staff, school district. And then from that meeting, there'll be some recommendations that come out. They'll incorporate those recommendations and then have a draft plan to council for review at the end of October, and hopefully we can adopt it in November. Yeah, Joel?
Hey, Joel, did you have something?
Yeah, will there be a point in which the public has a chance to speak in towards the emergency operations plan? Because a big portion of what happened in the last during the fires, for example, it was citizens that fought a big chunk of that fire. So I think they should have a say, at least at one point, to put some recommendations out there. I think we should be involving the people of Estacada.
Yeah, when that draft plan goes to council, that will be an open meeting for people to look at and make comments. And then from there, we'll take any comments that the council decides to forward and redo the plan before it comes to you for final adoption.
Mhm.
Okay, there's that. And then also, if we can just, with the mask mandate right now, so now I'm going to talk about council meetings. We do have the ability to do hybrid council meetings. So I'd like a direction, so each meeting we don't have to talk about it. So the rule now is if you come into City Hall, you must wear a mask. If you're there for a meeting, you have to wear a mask the whole time. You can't take it off when you sit down at your desk. There's, we're going to wear the mask. If any of you have watched a county meeting, you'll be able to kind of relate to, because they're hybrid, because one of their commissioners doesn't wear a mask, so they're virtual. And then the usually the others are there, but there's been a time or two when one or two has been gone. But we have the capability to do that now. So do you want to start doing that at the next meeting?
Yeah, I think so. I think
Okay.
having everybody mask up and be in the meeting, because they have the option to do it from home if they're not comfortable coming in. Is that right?
That's correct. If you
Okay.
got, if they aren't comfortable, yes. Katie?
Okay. Katie?
Does that mean that moving forward from now on, we will always have the option of doing a hybrid Zoom and in-person class?
I think that's up to the council to decide once we get through this, but for now, I would say yes, until things change. Yeah.
Oh, I just know that in previous discussions we've had as a council, it sounds like the general consensus is the more people that we can reach by using multiple methods of
Oh, right.
communication and multiple ways of meeting, that if we could have an in-person council meeting, that people who are watching us on
Right.
Zoom could also theoretically attend from their
Mhm.
home. I love the fact that we now have that technology and can continue to
Yes.
do that for every single meeting, starting the next meeting and continue on forward.
Yeah,
So,
I
thank you.
think we can do that. Yeah, yep.
Okay, Joel, did you have something?
Yes, what's the standing for face shields? Those are acceptable alternatives still according to CDC and state guidelines. So I just want to make sure we're still doing those. As well.
I will check to be sure that where that says that, and if it does say that in the guidelines, then yeah, face shield will be fine. I did not think they were allowable, but I'll check it. Yep.
All right, thanks.
Yeah, that's actually the same question I had, because I know the school has some kind of restrictions as to what kind of masks and stuff have to be worn. Is there, I mean, I guess just get those out, or will
Yeah.
there be some there that we can just, I don't have to worry about bringing one?
Yeah, I will get all that information out to you guys.
Cool.
Okay, great. All right, is that all you have?
Oh, yes, that's all I had. Thank you.
Okay. All right. So we are now going to close the city council and open the public hearing. So I will now close the city council meeting and open the public hearing on subdivision 2021-05-S, Dugan Estates, phases 3 through 7. Do any members of the council wish to abstain or declare ex parte contact? No? Okay. The council will now hear the staff report on this proposal. So who's giving us the report here?
That'd be Ben Blessing.
Oh, okay, great. How are you, sir?
I'm doing well, thank you. And
Good.
good evening, City Council. Just give me 1 second here and I'll get the slideshow going. Okay. You can see that, Denise, can you see that? I'm sure you can. Okay.
Yes, we can see that.
Okay. So again, Ben Blessing, city planner, county planner. This is for planning file 2021-05-S for Dugan Estates phases 3 through 7. Just a quick proposal summary of what was initially proposed by the applicant. 145 lots, low density residential, each lot being over 7,500 square feet. And then actually it's one open space tract to contain two open space tracts, one to contain Curran Creek and Sailing Creek. You've got city improvements on Deuce Road. You've got that's the only county road in this application. And then of course you have all other roadways that are proposed being local roadways at 54 feet wide. I'll provide a little more detail on that just in a few moments. A feature of this application, which again will be detailed a little more later, is the proposed trail within the open space tract along Sailing Creek, which will connect to some other developments to the east, which I'm sure you're aware of, and I'll just do a quick run through really fast on the next couple slides. Important note, the Planning Commission was held August 26, 2021. Now the Planning Commission approved basically the staff report and thereby recommends the full, you've received the recommendations and conditions of approval. They made one modification at the Planning Commission meeting, and that was to basically change the number of accesses onto Southeast Deuce Road to basically no more than 2. And then they also requested that the applicant prepare a modified plan to show the city council. The applicant did do that. You've received it as an exhibit. And what the applicant has done, and as shown, I think in Exhibit 19, they kind of explain it. They've made 3 accesses and they've reduced. So basically, I'll show a comparison soon, but they've reduced the accesses onto Southeast Deuce Road from 5, which I believe they previously had, down to 3. In doing this, that again reduces the number of access points down to 3, and keeping in mind that the planning commissions wanted 2 accesses, but nonetheless, they have reduced it down to 3. And they've also been able to reconfigure some of their lots, so they have 148 now instead of 145. Let me kind of show you. They've in doing this and doing this modification, they've now have private access roads basically for lots in the interior of these blocks. So again, that's just something to note up front. This is a quick vicinity map, and just to note, you've got, again, to the east, you have an approval from last month, Dugan Estates phases 1 and 2. That was approved by the city council. And then further east, you have, of course, Dugan Estates. And to the west, you have undeveloped parcels as of right now. A close-in view showing Sailing Creek running through essentially the center of the property. Some vicinity notes: 1 mile to the high school, 1 mile to Eagle Creek Road, 1.5 miles to City Hall, and there will be a future connection to Eagle Creek Road to the south of the subject property. That'll be Southeast Current Creek Drive. This is just a quick closer in view of Sailing Creek. You can see the stream channel there. Again, the modified concept plan, and so this is the comparison. So let me go to the next slide. This was what was originally proposed by the applicant with the initial submittal of the application. This is what's now proposed: the reduction of 2 public accesses and the creation of multiple private accesses, thereby not having as many connections to Southeast Deuce Road, which was the concern of the Planning Commission. Okay, and just to kind of show the surrounding circulation plan again, this may look familiar, but basically you have good connection to the east with a subdivision that was approved, Dugan Estates phases 1 and 2, connections to the south that can be made. Of course, this area here that I'm highlighting is Current Creek, which there of course won't be very many. There will be 2 basically crossings over, which is just fine. It's a year-round creek. This is just a illustration of the typical road section that'll be installed. 54-foot wide right-of-way, 16-foot travel lane on either side, 5-foot sidewalk, and the applicant has put a landscape planter strip in as well at 4.5 feet plus a curb. A nice feature of this is within Tract E, which is the proposed open space tract, is again, you have a nice trail that will be required to be constructed by the applicant. And furthermore, the applicant has noted that a potential that there's the option for a potential future park here with neighborhood amenities next to this in this kind of open space area, as you can see here. So there'll be good connection with trails and a nice kind of neighborhood park feature, which will be, again, just well connected. So that was a good design feature. So just some highlighted recommended conditions. You got 2 pedestrian stream crossings over Sailing Creek, not 1. The applicant initially had 1. They've now proposed 2, so that's great. 10-foot paved walking path along Sailing Creek again, a neighborhood park roughly at a 15,000 square foot envelope basically. And then of course you have protections on Sailing Creek and Current Creek, a 50-foot water quality buffer along Sailing and a 70-foot water quality buffer containing Current Creek. Again, local streets within a 54-foot right-of-way, 32-foot travel surface, parking, planter strip, and sidewalks on both sides. They'll need fire district approval for the final design. And then, of course, there's 2 flag lots that I believe are on the southern half of the lot, and those just need to maintain a 25-foot frontage on the public road. So another key point in receiving the modified condition from the Planning Commission and the applicant's modified site plan, which of course I made comments on in Exhibit 20. I responded to the applicant's modified plan and made some additional recommendations just kind of for conforming text amendments. That's what you'll see. But the county engineering department also contacted me, and they don't have any concerns with the proposed changes to the road connections on Southeast Deuce. Of course, Southeast Deuce being a county road. Their only request was that just that we change the conforming text amendments on condition 68, so that we basically just have where it says lots adjoining the county road, being Deuce Road, don't have direct access on. So that's all they ask, is just we change that, which can be done very easily. Finally, that leads us into the options. There's 4. So you have your options are, number 1, of course, deny the application with findings that one or more of the approval criteria are unable to be met. The second option, approve as recommended by the planning commission. Now that's 2 entrances to Deuce Road. And then, of course, with minor conforming text changes that I mentioned in Exhibit 20 and what engineering department recommends. You also have number 3, which is approve the modified plan submitted by the applicant, which is now 3 entrances to Deuce Road, and of course, changing the number of lots to 148. And then there again, with the minor conforming text changes in Exhibit 20, I recommend, and engineering's conforming text amendments. And then finally, you can approve option 2 or 3, but without my recommendations in Exhibit 20 or the conforming text amendments. That's an option 2, just noting it. And I'd be more than happy to come back to this slide when you're ready to make the decision. And that's about all I have. Just some notes here of the noticing, where the noticing occurred. And basically, we're at the decision point here. So that's all I have on the presentation.
Okay, great. Thank you. If we can get it back to main screen. Okay. Hold on, Joel, just a second. Let me read through this. Is there any correspondence regarding this application, Ben?
None other than that you have before you.
Okay, great. I will now read a statement about evidence presented at the hearing. An issue which may be the basis for an appeal to LUBA must be raised prior to the close of the record at the final eventuary hearing on the specific application. Such issue shall be raised with sufficient specificity so as to afford LUBA and the parties an adequate opportunity to respond to each issue. Failure of an issue to be raised at the hearing or in person or by letter, or failure to provide sufficient specificity to afford LUBA and the parties an adequate opportunity to respond to the issue precludes an appeal to LUBA on that issue. All right. Is the applicant here?
Yes, he's here. Dave, I just brought him into the meeting. There he is.
Okay, let's bring him into that. And is there any questions concerning this to the applicant that would like to be raised right now? Joel, I think that was your hand up.
Hey, Ben, can you bring up a picture that shows the modified piece there? Went away again. There it goes. All right. So I want to point out that I was at the meeting and they had raised the concern for 2 on there because, as we all know, Deuce is a raceway. And even if you do a speed trap on there, it's going to continue to be a raceway. It's just people coming from up higher down to heading towards the highway or vice versa. Kids, everything else. It's a bad road to be pulling out onto. So that's why the planning commission had asked to go to 2. But when they were talking, they were also, you'll see 3 on there now, but it's actually a 4th one, slightly to the right. It's only see a sliver on it. They were also referring to that in their conversation as well. Yep. So they were counting that in because they were counting 6 at the time, and they kept saying 6. And so there's actually 4 entrances there. Plus you have another one further down on the corner. So I really think we need to find another way to reduce these even more, because we're gonna feel real bad the minute someone pulls onto the road and they get T-boned. We want to reduce that as far apart as possible, so there's time to react between different people pulling out at different times. So that's my concern, is the safety of that many exits onto that road. So. And I just wanted to see if the applicant had another alternative plan to do that. I know there was a concern about meeting city requirement codes, but they're willing to, I think the planning commission was willing to work with those or something. But yeah, it's just definitely a safety on that one, because I don't want to see someone get T-boned by coming out of those roads. So.
Yeah. All right, I'll refer back to either Ben or the applicant on that. Is that something you can answer to?
I think that one would go to the applicant. They're going to need to, they're going to have to make the modification if that's going to be required by the city council. So I'll defer to the applicant.
Okay.
Sure. Well, I got good evening.
Good evening. How are you?
Before I get into answering questions, can I say hi and say a few things about our application? So thanks again for having us. I'm Dave Reichert, and with All County Surveyors and Planners in Sandy. We're on 39669 Pleasant Street. Ray Moore is with me, the PE and PLS for the project. Mac Even is with me, the developer and project with Even Better Homes based out of Gresham. Reiterate some of the stuff that I've said before with you guys. If you remember, I work in Sandy, like I said, and I also live in town in Estacada. So I take a lot of personal pride in what we're working on here in this design. I drive on Eagle Creek Road every day to go to work and look off to my right and start to imagine what it's all going to look like. I take it seriously. Like I said, I'm designing a neighborhood that's going to be a part of our town. That's how I think about it. And this is the fun one. This is the one with the park in the middle. Again, as I got immersed in our Estacada projects, I attend a lot of city council meetings and planning commission meetings over the past several months, trying to understand the big picture. Again, it's really humbling for me to go to those meetings and just to see so many people in our town that are so involved and on so many committees and involved in committees and events. Very thankful. I'm thankful for all of you for what you do and for giving your time for our city. Greatly appreciate staff and like last month, I mean, what you see before you is a product of some, a lot of collaboration that's already happened before we got here with myself and together with Ben and Taylor and Denise and input and communication and all that with Melanie and Sadie, Hassan, Kurt, and I just appreciate all their input and all their correspondence and all their help in this project. They're great to work with. I think it has been said in a previous city council meeting that Denise should not be allowed to retire. I agree. Can we get like a motion on the floor, maybe? Maybe later. But anyway,
I tried that. They told me no.
All right. I second. No, I guess it didn't work. Okay. So again, some of my thoughts about growth and growth in general. So I could see how it makes sense to ask, is there a limit to all this this development that's going on? And there is. What keeps it in check is the urban growth boundary, and what we're doing is inside the urban growth boundary, and this is where urban growth is supposed to happen. Is inside that boundary. In the area that we're in, the UGB actually follows Deuce Road, so we are right up to the limits here. Another issue regarding schools. As I've said, we've seen letters from the superintendent. He's testified before the council. To me, his message has been clear and concise and consistent that the school district welcomes all growth and they need a bond. And, when I say that bond affects me too. And I believe these two things are independent. I believe that's the superintendent's message as well. There's a need. There's the growth that's happening and there's the need for a bond. And those are two independent things. The school district needs a bond whether or not this growth happens. And if anything, this project helps that problem. And I'll name three ways. One, a substantial portion of our permit fees go to the schools. Two, a greater population gives the school district more access to government monies. And 3, with an increase in population, should the bond measure ever pass, there will be more to share the burden with us. So counterintuitively, all this growth helps us with the needs of the school district. Also regarding the sanitary system, a couple different upgrades are in the works. One's a treatment plant and one's I&I. For the treatment plant, city engineer has submitted his proposed facilities plan to DEQ. He's gotten comments back. It's in a review process. So the city submitted this way before the minimum state requirement. We're ahead of the game there. As you know, a large chunk of the treatment plant project is going to be funded by SDC money, which is collected at the time of building permits when they're pulled. So these new homes are going to pay for our treatment plant upgrades, which we would need anyway. On the other side is I&I, which, as you know, is the issue of stormwater getting into the existing sanitary pipes and manholes. And so in conversations with city engineer, with Kurt, there's far more gallons per day that hit the plant from I&I than there are from the new homes. The city continues to work to fix the I&I problem, which is funded in large part by utility bills. So the more utility bills we have, the faster we fix the I&I problem citywide. So again, this is counterintuitive, but growth actually helps improve the sewer system. Again, I think it was Matt Lorenzen who made a general comment a few meetings back that, in our subdivision design process, I mean, what we do is we look at the code and the zoning, and we follow the rules, and we design from there. That's our job. And again, for this one, we're not just doing the bare minimum. As you've seen, we've gone above and beyond what the code requires to design, I think, a really nice neighborhood. We meet the requirements for minimum lot sizing. We're proposing city standard streets and utilities. Also, I don't know if it was mentioned yet that our plan, what we're doing here, does not have an HOA. So all the new lots are going to be clearly owned and maintained either by the city or individual owners. I'm going to try to share a screen here. Let's see if technology is on our side. Okay, can we see that? Somebody give me a thumb. There we go. Thank you. Okay, so here's the parks sheet. So this is, like I said, this is the fun one with the park in the middle. The trails that we talked about last month that are over here in Dugan Estates 1 and 2 are going to connect there. I did also look, there is a pedestrian easement on the Faraday plans here that kind of cuts the corner, goes around there out to this private driveway, I think is what that is. Anyway, point being, this, you can see how this all sort of interconnects with several subdivisions that are shown here. This is our future street plan. It shows that we've got excellent connectivity tying all these subdivisions together. That's also not just for vehicles, but also pedestrian connectivity with all these subdivisions, because as we're in this area that didn't have any sort of parks master plan, so we came up with one in our collaborations with staff and attending a Parks Commission meeting and lots of emails and things. So I'm excited about this neighborhood and how it's going to come together. So now to address the Planning Commission concern regarding the intersections on Deuce. So here's the old plan. Now this plan, this is important to point out that this plan meets the municipal code. Per code, there's nothing about this plan that is not code compliant. The block dimensions, the perimeter standards that are clear in the code are met, as well as the intersection spacing standards, and those come from the county, Deuce being a county road. So if I understand correctly, I think the concern is that there's some that are in a habit of going 90 miles an hour on Deuce, and more intersections means more danger. That's the perceived concern. So here's the deal. So this habit of flying down Deuce, it needs to change, and I think it's gonna. So I've suggested that our police will be able to help with this, and where if enough people get speeding tickets, then the word will get around. So there is something else to consider. So when you're driving down a straight road that doesn't have any intersections, psychologically, it feels like a highway. So we need a road that does not feel like a highway anymore. Adding intersections, it actually creates like a natural traffic calming effect, if that makes sense. We don't want to limit the number of new intersections too much, otherwise Deuce will continue to feel like a highway. So as Ben showed, you know, we are comfortable, even though what the picture I'm showing here, it meets the code, you know, we're comfortable meeting the planning commission requirement in the middle. And so we'll have a plan here. We're proposing three new intersections on Deuce instead of 5. So this layout, with this layout, we still actually meet all the block perimeter code criteria for the Estacada Municipal Code. It also provides good circulation, and it adds enough intersections to Deuce to take away that highway effect. So we do ask you that that you would go with Ben's options, option number 3, to approve the application with this plan as modified by the applicant. We think in doing this that if you just restricted it to 2 public accesses, that can't be justified by the city or county code standards. It also creates poor internal circulation, and it creates too much of a highway effect on Deuce. So there you go. It's just another, you know, beautiful neighborhood that creates jobs and adds much needed inventory in a lopsided housing market. So again, I thank all you guys for what you do in serving our town, and yeah, we're happy to answer any other questions.
All right, great. You want to get us back on the main screen here? I'll see if I got it.
Yeah,
Actually, can you leave that screen up just for one more second? For the
Sure,
record,
yeah.
Ray Moore, All County Surveyors. I just wanted to say a couple words, and you know, we could eliminate 2 more streets out of this layout. Mac would save money. We would potentially gain a couple more lots and delete some streets. Streets cost money to build. So we're not coming from this at a, you know, a perspective that, hey, we're saving money. We're actually going to spend more money by adding these additional streets because we feel that it will make it a safer and nicer neighborhood. Mac has to sell these homes, and if you eliminate 2 of those internal streets, it's going to be a big on-site alley internally with a subdivision. So you have to think about people coming home from work. You know, they've got to drive a super long block to get to their homes, and they speed through neighborhoods when that happens. When you have shorter blocks, that will help, you know, internally within the subdivision as well, traffic calming. So I just wanted to kind of point that out, that, you know, if we do strictly follow planning commission's request of 2 streets, the developer would save money and potentially have more lots. So we're not coming from this, you know, from that perspective. You know, we're trying to make it a nice neighborhood for the city and the people that are going to live there in the future.
Yeah, we talked about this map too. So I feel proud of myself that I got all this whole picture on one map, on one page. I mean, but what you sacrifice in that is it's at an 80 scale. Okay, so I mean, from one end to the other, it's over a 1/4 mile would be this road, you know, if you just had this entrance here. So that's what Ray's talking about when he's saying you'd create a second raceway with this road here. So anyway, just for the scale of this. So with these new roads, the new configuration, they're spaced over 500 feet apart each, which is greater than the requirement for the county's like highest classification of roadway for a major arterial. Anyway, again, any other questions?
All right, Joel, I think did that answer your question in full?
Yes and no. I mean, I still have the concern about the extra entrances on there. I get their point they're coming from, and I just did some real quick research on there, and an average stopping point for a vehicle doing 60 miles an hour is about 140 feet, and there's about 400 feet between those roads. So theoretically, if someone's paying attention, they'd have time to stop if someone pulled out in front of them. So mathematically, and from an analytical side, it makes sense to their discussion there. So.
Okay, thank you, Joe. Katie.
Hi,
I was hoping I could talk with the applicants, specifically about the proposed modification, the 148 lot. Specifically I'm talking about lot 132, 131, 128, 127, 147, 146, 143, and 142. So with the new proposed modification,
Of this map?
yes, that map right there.
Okay,
So they specifically have,
like this bank?
yes, right there.
Okay.
Exactly. And there's a matching bank on the other side.
Roger that.
And those are the ones I'm talking about right now.
Okay,
So those will not have frontage on Deuce, correct?
correct.
So
Well-
in that case, their private access is an easement, a 25-foot easement on their, basically their neighbor's property, correct?
Correct.
Can you explain to me, for my own information, what the difference between this and a flag lot is?
Oh, functionally, it's just about the same.
So,
So I will
Yeah, go
show
ahead.
you where this exists. Oh, it doesn't have the houses on there. Wait, on the new aerial, does it? Yeah. Okay, it's just like that. This is Darrow Road.
mhm.
So yeah, so you can, it's functionally like a flag lot. I went through but in the process of we worked on this project, which is how I could get right to it. I went around the county surveyor on it, and it's something that just works for that 25-foot wide shared easement, just kind of fit in the box for everybody. We were all able to shake hands on it. And so, yes, this functions like a shared driveway, like a flagpole for both of these lots. And so what we're proposing is a similar configuration.
So what you're proposing is essentially 2, 4, 6, 8 flag lots.
Correct.
Honestly, if you go back to that aerial that you just showed me that square right there in front of the house the one right in front of that. Yeah, I used to live in a home that was like that, that had the flag lot behind me. And I know why, firsthand, why flag lots are extremely discouraged in our city. I have not really seen them work out. And I personally am very turned off to the idea of this modification if it's going to include those 8 flag lots. I just wanted to throw that out there. I don't know if the planning commission had brought that up or not, but I was a little surprised that in all the talks of the modifications and all the talks of flag lots and stuff, that 8 functionally flag lots, that's what they are. They're going to function like flag lots. Well, if it looks like a duck and it smells like a duck and it walks like a duck, it's duck. Those are flag lots. And now we've got 8 of them. And I'm kind of turned off by that idea. I don't know how the rest of the council feels about that, but I feel like that would be a higher point of discussion.
All right. I can't see my screen to see if any of the counselors have a comment on that. Hold on a second.
Yeah,
does
Joel,
anybody-
did the planning commission talk about it at all?
Nothing they brought up as a concern like that. So it was just noted at the change, but the change was brought up maybe just right before they kind of settled on that, putting it out there. But so no one really brought up an issue. Ben, you were there too. So I think it was, they brought that last minute photo up, maybe like 15 minutes before they moved on.
Correct. That they didn't have time to go over, really any plan prepared by I think the applicant showed just a rough kind of mock-up, but
yeah,
certainly not enough time to go over things like the flag lots that you mentioned, Councilor Dunsmuir, and basically that they just kind of said, give us a modification. And now we're kind of going over the nitty gritty.
Okay. Joel?
And while Katie's, Councilor Dunsmuir's experience with flag lots may have one thing, that's not a rule set for everything going forward. There may be issues, there may not be issues. I think that they've got that they've gone through the work of putting this change in. I think it meets what we need to, it meets the safety things. People that want to buy that flag lot, that's going to be up to them to settle and deal with them in themselves. I don't think we as a city should be stepping into that far. And we should let the developer decide on how they want to. They're the ones that have to sell the houses. It doesn't cause a safety issue. It's not pushing people out there. So that's my take on it. So.
Okay, great. Katie?
Denise, what does our code say about flag lots?
Gosh, I don't know. Ben probably knows better than me.
So yeah, I can say that they do require a 25-foot minimum width along the public right of way. And generally speaking, depending on the number of lots will depend on the width of the private easement. Sorry. So if there was like 7 or 8 or some other higher number, the width might be wider, but generally speaking, 25 feet is the minimum. Furthermore, the fire marshal must sign off on a proper width. And if there's 4 units, I mean, generally speaking, you need to have at least 20 feet of paved width. I'd have to double check that in the code. We don't have but generally speaking, I can say that the on top of all this, the fire marshal would have to sign off, which is basically why if this alternative plan, the modified plan by the applicant set forth, it was why I put, just basically a condition that we add that it complies with all private road standards and fire marshal standards. But yes, it could potentially be, it's at least 25 feet for a flag lot of frontage. And technically it's a private road. It's really not, I mean, I'd have to look at the definition, but a flag lot is more lot. We'd have to look at the lots to the south of Salem Creek. Those actually have frontage. And those are kind of your traditional flag lots. Now there's 2 of those proposed, but so these are more of a private road, but it is very, very similar, if not, inexchangeably similar to a flag lot. So hope that helps a little.
Yeah, thank you. Joel, did you have something else?
Just to kind of answer Katie's question there, under our municipal code 16.116.010 subsection 7, D7, sorry. The number of driveway and private street intersections with public streets should be minimized by the use of shared driveways for adjoining lots where feasible. When necessary for traffic safety and access management purposes, or to access flag lots, joint access or shared driveways may be required in the following situations. And it kind of goes on to a big old list. I'll show you on that one. But so based upon that kind of general description, that's kind of what they're doing here. So they're trying to use shared driveways to minimize those extended flag lots that you have to have there. And it's definitely for the purpose of reducing those basically reducing the streets, which is for safety. And so it meets a lot of what their purposes are, meets that pretty well, I think, in my quick 2-second view of it. So.
Okay, anybody else, as far as any of the other counselors have an issue with this particular thing? No? Okay. If there are no more questions to this, we thank you for everything that you put out there and your maps and everything. And Ben, we thank you for your rendition. I think it got us a good perspective here on the whole plan. So I'm going to ask that if we have any speaker request forms, Sadie, or
yeah,
whoever.
We've got one person in the audience with their hand raised. It's Jessica H. So I'll bring her in.
All right, let's see if we can get her up there.
And Jessica, if you could state your full name and city of residence, please.
Jessica, are you there? There you are. All right, how are you?
Good, how are you? So my name is Jessica. Hi, JAR. I'm actually on the applicant team. I prepared the traffic study, so I just was hoping to kind of give my 2 cents on the Dugan Road multiple access scenario. So this is just when you're thinking about designing a road, there's kind of 2 things to think about, and that's the functional classification or the speed. And so this is kind of an odd scenario where it's a low classification, but it has a high speed. So here they're meeting all of the standards for designing the classification of the road for the spacing. But how do you ensure that these are safe for the higher posted speed of 55 miles per hour? So I just wanted to point out that as part of the county engineering requirements, during the development permit review process, they'll be required to show that each of these accesses are meeting the intersection site minimum intersection site distance requirements. So that's kind of what Joel was saying. So the minimum site distance requirements are actually the stop site distance, and it's just the braking distance plus the reaction distance. This is when a driver is driving and they see a hazard, can react and slow or come to a complete stop if needed. Intersection site distance is just free flowing. You can make your turning movement without slow or reacting. So then that minimum stopping site distance for 55 miles per hour and a flat grade is 495 feet. So yeah, I just kind of wanted, so county engineering comments on this application, they said the applicant will have to submit the plan and profile of each of these accesses during the development permit process. Otherwise, the access isn't permitted. So there is that extra check a little later on during construction to ensure that these accesses can maintain safe operation, and that's for either access scenario.
Yeah, thank
That's
you.
all.
Joel, do you have something you want to?
Yeah, I just popped up for 2 seconds under that braking stopping distance thing on there, which the average 60 miles an hour is 300-foot stopping distance. The smallest distance I saw on those distances was 400 something feet, I think. I did a quick calculation of what was on the map there. So yeah, I mean, unless they're doing, 75 miles an hour, which is definitely possible on that straightaway, getting up to 75. If perceived stopping distance, they should be able to stop, if they're paying attention. But it's,
And yeah, the measurement is kind of taken from the minor feet at a setback. So
Yeah.
it shouldn't, like, if there are any hazards within that feet, that would be accounted in that.
Yeah, and so basically what I'm saying, I'm both arguing for and against, and the reason why I'm arguing kind of right in the middle there is because yes, 400 feet kind of meets that minimum there, but that's if they're doing about 60 miles an hour roughly. They'll have no time to stop before they hit somebody, according to what I just looked up there. I mean, you did the study on it, but if it's,
Yeah, so I'm quoting AASHTO standards, American Association of State Highway and Transportation Officials. That the way you described your calculation, it almost seems like worst case scenario. So my stopping site distance of about 500 feet is, again, you're able to slow and kind of, it's a comfortable maneuver. Again, if you had to somehow, press harder on that brake or slam on the brakes, obviously you could do that in a much shorter distance.
and my concern is not for the average scenario. My concern is the worst case scenario, because like I said, we have people to fly a bit on that road. We have storms out here. We have trees to go down. We have lighting conditions. That's not a public street with lots of good lighting. There's a lot of issues out here. Just knowing the area that I'm trying to factor into the back of my head here when I'm looking at that. And that's why I said 400 feet minimum is like right at the cusp of what I would consider a safe area. Technically, I mean, I would, because all those other things I know about the area. I mean, I've driven out here in ice storms and weather and stuff like that. We've cut trees out of road on that road specifically. There's a lot of things to it. I'm just trying to consider there, but I just want people to be safe. That's my only concern, is people to be safe. And
so there's just, that extra stipulation from the county to ensure that, again, before the access is in operation. Yeah.
Okay, thank you. Jerry, did you have something?
My question's for Dave, actually. Joel just brought up a good point of lighting. Are there on those intersections, are there going to be street lights at each one of those intersections? I mean, not stoplights, but actual like overhead street lights.
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah, we're lighting, not just the intersections, we're lighting the street throughout the pros. We're lighting up Deuce.
All right, thank you.
And just to add to that, it's a condition of approval in the staff report.
Great. Any other questions there? All right. Well, we thank you. You did a wonderful job. You got everything out there, and I think we've got all our questions answered. And I appreciate all the input from Katie and Joel as far as, you know, what's safety, what we're looking at, what it's really called, and putting it into perspective. So we appreciate that. I now want to find out if staff or the applicant have any other final comments before I move this along. No? All right. At this time, I will now close the public hearing and we will reopen the city council. And you've seen the 4 choices, but it's going to be really hard. Katie, go ahead.
I'm sorry, it looked like Ben had something that he wanted to add and I really wanted to hear what he had to say.
Okay.
Sorry, thanks. It just one final note on those 4 options I said. You know, you just remember you technically have 5th. You know, if you ever wanted to revert back to the original proposal or propose something different, you have that option too. That's all I wanted to say.
Okay, great. Thank you. So you've seen the, what is it, 4 options. Do I have a motion on the floor for one of those options? Katie?
Okay.
Hold on.
Honestly, I like the original proposal better than the new one. And I want to motion that one.
Okay. So I have a motion on the floor.
I'll second that one.
Okay, I have a first and a second. All those in favor say aye.
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 Okay, so you have, what is that, 3?
And
Okay.
never mind. It's fine.
Did you get that, Sadie? Did you see?
Yeah,
Okay,
Gary,
okay.
Katie, and Justin.
Okay, I just want to be sure what you saw.
Okay, all right. So where are we at on that? Was that enough to?
No, the motion failed. It was 3-3.
Okay, all right, all right. So can I have another motion round on that?
I move to approve of Ben's option 3 with the modified version that they have there.
Okay.
Second.
I have a first and second.
Mhm.
All those in favor say aye.
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 That's fine. I'm
Justin, you're
I'm
not.
good with it.
4. Okay, that's 4. I think we have it.
So Jerry and Katie are no's on that one?
Yeah.
Okay, thank you. Okay.
All right. Again, we thank all the applicants for coming out tonight. We appreciate you. You did a great presentation. I know it's hard putting all that together and getting out here and putting that to us to where we understand what it is we're looking at. And again, we appreciate you. So thank you.
I do have a question real quick.
Sure, Jerry. Go ahead.
And Ben could probably answer it. So, the one that we chose, that's the one where there's streetlights going up, right? That was the
They all.
recommendation from staff. There's streetlights going up.
Yeah, oops, excuse me. Let's verify real quick. The applicant has proposed them and
I know they were all gung ho about lighting up too, so I just wanted to make sure that the one that we
Would have been more streetlights with the other intersections, but
yeah, I get that. Just want to make sure that they're there.
okay, 1 second here. I have it. So condition 36. A plan for the installation of streetlights shall be developed and approved by the city. If city, all costs of the plan and installation shall be borne by the developer.
Okay, does that answer your question, Jerry? Okay, good. All right. Joel, do you have something else?
This one's just something for Denise. Hey, could you possibly, Denise, you there? Hey, could you possibly speak with the county and see if maybe something like as they're coming into that area, putting some like, you know, those rumble strips or something like that, letting them know to slow down, putting something like that on the road. I know it's county road, so they all have to do it, but can you?
Well, half of it's ours and half of it's theirs. So it's a very odd situation, but I wanted to say too that Taylor and I have had meetings with the council about reducing the speed limit on the Eagle Creek Highway because it's the state, ODOT is the official person who actually lets you do it. and they have to do a study. And they said, for Eagle Creek Highway, until we get the developments along from Deuce Road on, that to not go to ODOT yet, because this is just what we're talking, if there's long distances without driveways, people tend to go faster. Whereas it starts to develop and look like a city, they start to slow down even on their own. And that's when you want ODOT to come in and do the study. So we will also, it looks like this road may get developed before Eagle Creek Road to ask for that reduction from ODOT. So we can also work partnering with the county on once these developments get in, asking ODOT for a reduction from 55, since there is more access and traffic accessing that road. So
Good.
we'll do
Yeah.
that. But
That'd
we'll
be
talk to the county about some kind of slowing down function if we can. Mhm.
All right, thank you. Okay, and thank you, Ben. And moving right along, we are now at council business. An ordinance 2021-006, an ordinance amending chapters 8.12 nuisance affecting public safety of the Estacada Municipal Code. And I will give this to you, Denise, for the changes really quick.
Write myself some notes here. This is, we did some research for cities on their noxious growth ordinances. Some cities are like us and they make it go away completely, but then other cities have a minimum, something like this that gives it, you cut it back enough that it's not going to spread to someone else's property or be unsightly. And so I thought this was a good compromise, the 10-foot back from the property lines. I talked to the mayor today. He likes it. That kind of came up for, a lot of the properties there, but it definitely, we can talk about it. This was just something I threw out that, I think this could kind of be, because there are a lot of properties in town that have bigger properties that to tell them they'd have to get rid of all their blackberries, because I know some people like blackberries because they use them for jams and whatever. And so, but this would stop that spread of blackberries a little bit onto neighboring properties that don't want anything to do with them. And it cuts back the unsightliness from public right of ways. And then we also reformatted because the definitions were clear up in another section. So we brought everything into that section. So the definitions were right there so people could see what they were without having to look two places in the code for the definitions. So we hope we made it easier to follow.
Sure.
And that's all I got.
I thought it looked a lot better. Have you all had a chance to read it? Has anybody got any issues with it, or is it sound okay? All right.
Great.
Knowing that, let's throw up a motion to accept.
I move to approve the amendments to the, hold on, what is the ordinance number? I move to approve amendments of 8.0. Good golly. Let me try this again. I move to approve the amendment to 8.01.010 ordinance.
Okay. I think you got that right.
Actually, let me revise that. It's actually in there finally. I found it. I was trying to find it. I move to adopt ordinance 2021-006, ordinance amending chapter 8.12, nuisances affecting public safety of the Estacada Municipal Code.
Perfect.
Okay, great, perfect. Okay, do I have a second on that?
I'll second it.
I have a first and second. All those in favor say aye.
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 Okay. All those opposed? Okay.
Thank you. We'll get that put in there.
All right. Thank you very much. We are now at the next citizen and community group comment. Do I have anybody in the holding?
Nope, no hands raised.
Okay. We are now at the mayor council reports and
I'm
comments.
sorry, Mayor.
Is somebody there?
Katie just raised her hand.
All right, great. Put her up
Okay.
there. Okay, are you there?
Dee Dee, you're on mute. Can you state your name? Can you unmute and state your name and city of
There you go.
residence?
Okay, Dee Dee Brittle. I live in 549 Southwest Dogwood Road, Estacada, and I'm reporting for the Chamber of Commerce. Just letting you know that we have 125 businesses that are part of the Chamber of Commerce, and we're excited about that. And that's all I have to share.
All right. Thank you, Dee Dee. We appreciate that.
Thank you.
Can I ask Dee Dee a question real quick?
Sure, yeah.
Dee Dee, are you guys doing the creepy crawl?
It came up a couple of meetings ago, and I don't think there was a decision made, but we
Okay.
meet tomorrow, so I
Okay.
can find out about
Can you-
that for you.
Can you let us know then, please?
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you.
You bet.
Okay.
All right.
All
Okay.
right. Anybody else holding?
Yes, Brandy Litke. Bringing her in.
All right.
Gosh, it takes them a while to come in, doesn't it?
It does. And tonight seems slower than usual.
Yeah. There she is.
All right. Brandy, are you there?
Can you hear me?
Yes, we can. Thank you.
Oh, sorry about that. It transferred me to a new window. I'm Brandy Litke. You guys know me by now. I just wanted to ask a quick question of the council. Maybe you could clear something up for me. There have been some comments about the spouses of council members or the spouse of the mayor being allowed to actually be at these meetings and speak. And there's been some people saying we're not allowed to come or speak or have an opinion. And I just wanted to make sure that, you know, what the actual rule is on that, because I was never aware of that.
I don't think there's any ruling that says that a spouse can't speak, to my knowledge. I mean, I've never heard one, but Katie, did you have something to say on that?
I was actually kind of curious where she heard this rumor from. I'd be really curious as to where that rumor came from.
There was actually someone that actually addressed me personally and said I had no right to an opinion because I'm a counselor's wife, and that it should be a conflict of interest for me to speak. So I just wanted to make sure it was very clear that I'm allowed to be here. I was pretty taken aback by it, so I didn't want to be doing something I'm not supposed to be doing.
Okay, well, I appreciate that. Denise, is there anything that says that a spouse can't speak? That
No.
you know?
No.
Okay. All right. Well, I think that answers your question. I think.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
No, I appreciate the comment. Thank you. Is there anybody else in the holding?
Yes, we've got Tony.
Okay, great.
Okay, can everybody hear me?
Yes, we can. Thank you.
Awesome, awesome. Well, I'm Tony and I live on Reagan Hill. You know, I love our council men and women that serve our community very much. And as a community health provider, I'm really careful about what advice I give, even as a therapist in our area. Especially to those that are not specifically my clients. I mention this because several times at the end of sessions, there have been councilmen or women giving advice as to the vaccine, whether to get it or not, and on almost borderline shaming those that choose an alternative. And I'm just wondering if it's normal standard at the end of council meetings that medical advice is given.
Katie, did you want to say something?
We are lucky enough as community leaders to be given a soapbox at the end of each meeting. And sometimes we choose to use our soapbox and sometimes we choose not to. In the events that we choose to use our soapbox, those are personal statements that we make. I have never heard anyone on this board claim to be a doctor. I have heard several advices to call your doctor and to seek out health advice from somebody other than Google or Facebook. Also to follow the guidelines that are being set forth by many healthcare providers. And that's so far the only advice that I've ever heard given is to call your medical professional, healthcare doctor. But that's, I think, I know who you're referring to. I'm fine with it because I stand by every statement that I have ever made. And I will continue to give people the advice to call their doctor and get vaccinated to protect their lives.
And with all due respect, I do agree with your soapbox. It's definitely a soapbox. Thank you.
All right. Anybody else?
Nope, nobody else.
Okay, great. Now we are at the mayor and council reports and comments. And I will start with you, Jerry.
Thank you, staff. Amazing job as always. I also stand behind what Katie said. Definitely call your doctor. Find out what the right steps are for you. The majority of doctors are going to tell you that the vaccination is safe. So, just call your doctor. Doctor's the one you trust with your health, your personal health and your everything. Just call your doctor, follow their recommendations and do what you got to do. So thank you guys. Thanks for everybody for showing up. Great meeting as always. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. Justin.
Yeah, just appreciate everybody being on here. Excited that school's starting and the kids are moving around and having a good time. So that's nice to see. Be safe out there and thanks, guys.
Okay, thank you. Joel.
Just appreciate everybody's time tonight. I think I'm kind of glad we got that ordinance corrected. I know there was a lot to kind of get in there, so I'm glad to see that another box checked on the things to do. I appreciate all of the citizens' comments and stuff. I believe that it's really important that we as community leaders really take into consideration the things that we say. Personal opinions or soapbox are not at the end. I think it's important that when we're sitting on this exact position of the city council meeting that everything we say should be taken into account. What we say outside of a council meeting and our own personal areas is up to us. But when we're sitting in a council meeting, I think that's very critical that what we say, how we say it is absolutely important because we're representing, we may be making a personal opinion, but we're representing the city right now. And then we have to take that professionalism into account. So yes, do call your doctor, but I believe that any mandate or pushing from any sort of political figure to do anything else, shaming or otherwise, is absolutely wrong. And that I believe that it should be completely up to the person to choose. And I'm going to leave it at that. Thanks.
Thank you. Charity.
Yeah, thanks. Thanks everybody for coming out tonight. And thanks again, staff, for putting together a packet. And I really appreciate it. Again, yeah, like Joel or Councilor Licky had said, getting that ordinance kind of squared away. I remember meeting about that last month, and that was kind of a deal for the community. Yeah, I appreciate the time at the end to come together and thank everybody and say a little something. I will echo what Councilor Licky said. The shaming to our community members has got to stop. We do not know what a person's personal medical health history is. So not everybody can get the vaccine. And I'm not going to go around and dig into everybody's personal health and ask them why they have or have not gotten it. That's between them and their doctor. And I don't think it is up to us to get on here and start talking about what other cities are doing and expressing our strong opinions on this. If you want to do that on your Facebook page, whatever, perfect. But again, it's a divisive issue, And I agree that we need to be more respectful. And that's all I got to say.
Thank you, Charity. And now it's my turn. Boy, this is getting exciting.
You forgot Katie.
Oh,
Sean.
Katie, sorry, Katie, go ahead.
I know you guys get really tired of listening to what I have to say, but I'll just repeat and I'll sound like a broken record. Call your doctor. Don't talk to Google. Don't talk to Facebook. Don't say, I talked to my doctor and he said this. Talk to your doctor. Listen to the advice of the doctors. When you have a legal problem, call a lawyer. When you have a problem with your pet, call a vet. When you have a medical pandemic going on, call your doctor, ask the questions, get the answers, do your research, call your doctor. And thank you, staff, for all your hard work. I appreciate you.
Okay. And now me. I've had a lot of people emailing me, asking my opinion on mask mandates, vaccine mandates, school children that have to wear masks all day long. I'm just going to give it to you. These are my personal feelings. They are not my council's and not my city. So when I say this, it's coming from me. I have been a mayor for a little while now and a councilor before that. I have always been a person that believes in your rights first, and I will always be that person. I will never strip you of the right to freedom to make the choices that you make. That is not what I'm about. That is never going to be what I'm about, no matter what happens. So on that, I'm going to state that I do not support mandates for masks. I do not support mandate for vaccine. I do not support sending your kids to school for 9 hours with a mask on. And that is my final on that. So I appreciate each and every one of you and everything that you do in our city. And I know it's hard when you've got something you want to say, and that has a tendency to get on somebody else's nerves, or maybe it's not. This is not a question and answer, Katie. You had your final comment. Thank you. I just want you to know that we are about the people first. Let's make sure we don't forget that. So I thank each and every one of you tonight, and I will now adjourn this meeting.